as a cinematographer, someone that's built my reel up over the years, you really need to think about doing spec projects a little bit differently. Now, I see spec projects all the time, and people actually title it spec. And I think it's one of those things that people are limiting themselves without knowing that they are. I'm going to give you 3 insights to like why and how you should be creating your spec project. First off, what I tell people whenever I'm mentoring them is I tell them stop advertising for free. Ultimately, you want to advertise your work, your visuals, your design, what you're doing as a cinematographer and what you're bringing to the table. So whenever you're doing these spec projects and you're putting them up on the interwebs and showing them off, if you finish the project and then you put up the other person's logo, well, you just gave all the credit to that company. If they're not paying you to be the client, then ultimately you are your own client. So find ways to make that spec project tailor more towards what you want to do later down the line or the kind of work you want to do. So for example, there's many ways that you can tell stories and different things that show a particular brand or a car or can look like an ad, but ultimately it's going to push people to your work. And I think that's the smarter part about it. So, if a client isn't paying you, then you're the client. And so you don't have to advertise them or advertise anyone else. When you're done with it and you're going to display it, same thing. Do not put their brand or logo if they didn't pay you. And it's one of those things to be a little bit disingenuous to say or make it seem to other viewers that you got paid to do these projects. And I would tell you that as an experienced cinematographer and other filmmakers that I've known and directors, they can tell right away when it's a spec project.
Why you always lying?
And they can tell that you didn't get paid for it, and they can tell when it's in your reel, and that you're pointing out to like if you're filming, some kind of massive car campaign that you really didn't. So it's a little bit disingenuous, and I would just say as you're starting off, try not to do those things, highlight yourself. A good idea would be like, let's say you're filming a car commercial. Well, never show the logo, but show the car running. People understand what it is. They'll get it. But at the end, maybe when it pops up and you're going to see the hood of the car, VFX or put your logo on there, and let people know like, this is what I do. I give you these visually impactful, stunning images, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's a pretty important one. Stop advertising for free. Don't build up a brand and then at the end show their logo. No, you got to show your logo. You got to show that it's you and that it was designed by you. Make sure that people are aware of that. Another thing that I see happen all the time on the interwebs, especially by us, these internet filmmakers, cinematographers, these people who are trying to build something up, is that they are literally shot for shot or design-wise, they're replicating projects that they have seen already. And I'm not saying that you're copying exactly or that you're stealing, because there is a lot of things that are currently happening now. They've happened for ages, and some of these things are subliminal. Some of these things you're growing up with that you've watched. You don't remember that you saw a commercial from years ago. All of a sudden it pops up and you're like, oh wait, I do remember seeing that. You need to stop just copying other work. Now, why would someone like Nike want someone to create a spec ad that looks like all the Nike ads they have done in the past, right? They can just go back to the people that did it. You really have to think about that, and it's easier to copy something that you have seen because it's already been done. You weren't there when they were doing the pre-visualizations, when they were doing the design and concepts and the photography before. Like you weren't there, but it's really easy to copy it. I've seen some of these YouTube channels that copy like let's say the Oppenheimer explosion, or they copy $1 million shots and they make it for $1,500. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You can do it after the fact because someone's already did it. Someone took the time, effort to design it, create it, and do all those things. You need to think about building a narrative or something that reflects who you are and how you would tell the story of, let's say, Nike, right? And there's so many cool ads that I've seen throughout the years. And a lot of them, I think that they kind of go after these people who are creating unique stories and they can say, hey, I would love for you to tell the story of Nike through your eyes and through your mind. I don't just want you to replicate what we've done years prior. So I think that's super important. Stop replicating. And, if you're just trying to stretch a muscle and create something that looks like what someone else has done, then that's awesome. I think you totally should do it. I think, once again, that you should do it with the mindset that I'm doing this as a building block. I want to see if I can create this. I want to see if I can create it cheap or inexpensive. I want to see if I have the tools necessary to create those things. But to then, put someone's brand or someone else's, or even put your name on it to say like you completely created everything. Always give the respective, always give the original creators and the design ideas, always credit the people that have done it, and be very, very, familiar, be super, super cool about it. It's one of those things that you need to think about, that you're not here creating fan art, right? Like, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people need to get into their brain, that it's not that you're creating a fan art spec or fan art film, which is the way that some of us see spec projects, but that you're creating your own design for something that's already out there. But you also have the mindset that it's building something in your portfolio. So that goes to my third point here. My third point is that you have to think of my third point, and something that I think most people need to focus on, is that you need to think of this as a portfolio piece and not a pitch. So you have to think that you're not going to give that fan art to Nike or to Jordan or to all these different companies. You have to think of this as something that's going to sit somewhere in your portfolio. So if you have that really cool creative idea that could work for an NBA piece, and you have like this really unique shot that you want to create, do it. But make sure that your name is all over it. And you don't have to put the NBA logo. You don't have to do that just because you're using a basketball. You don't have to put, Wilson on the basketball. You can create all these things specifically for you and for your portfolio. And I think that's the smartest thing about it. So when I was on the come up, I was thinking about like, what are the different kind of designs and things that I was missing from my reel. And back then, there was a system called the Movi system, which now everyone has a gimbal. They're $400, $300. You can buy a $100 gimbal easily on Amazon for your phone. But back then, these were the first systems that came out. And when I got that, I was like, I know that I can mimic Michael Bay shots, like super, like running around people. I can run, chase people. I can mimic a lot of these movements that I had seen in previous films, and just put them into my own short films and mimic the movement, because I knew in my film or in my reel that I didn't have that. And I know that if I showcase an extreme amount of movement, I can always dial it back when I need to. So I looked at that whole of even a portfolio in my market, and saw that no one was doing this. And how can I kind of accelerate myself by doing that? So find ways when you're making your specs and when you're making your pitch projects and you're doing those things, that you're filling a hole in your portfolio that you absolutely need. Overall, you have to think that it's not about creating spots for other people or for other brands, but it's about those brands seeing your portfolio and saying, this is the person that should be creating my project. With that said, here are a couple projects that I did in the beginning, and it's kind of funny how this works. We talked to a small company a dental whitening company, and I asked them to give me a little bit of money so that I can do a couple spec projects for them. And we didn't put their name or logo on it, but they wanted to see how we would work. And I said, look, in the end, if you don't like it, okay, cool. You don't have to pay for it. We'll figure it out. But they paid us half the money. They did dental cleaning. They had two things that they wanted us to show. They wanted us to do an influencer video, and then they also wanted us to do like something with peaches, because they had a new flavor for whitening, which was peach. So I got together. We did these two spec projects. super simple, just kind of following people around, trying to get people with nice smiles, got them to do the product, get the whitening for free. And then we did, and we created these cool spec projects. Nothing came from it, from that client. Even I think they only paid half the money. And so we're like, okay, cool. They didn't want to use it. They didn't really understand even at that time, how to promote it or how to push it. And I think that's one of the things that has really changed a lot. But because of that spec project, I then was able to use those two pieces in my portfolio to then land a client that paid me about $3,000, $2 to $3,000 to create a personal like vignette short form for them. Then another client picked me up and wanted something that looks similar to that too. And then from there, I got to pitch for a Jordan spot that kind of had the same kind of flow and design. And that project was released on, it was a project with the University of Houston and Jordan, and we got paid very well. And we got to go around, and my brother and I got to film, direct it, and DP it, and we got to present this, and it was shown during March Madness. And to promote U of H when they were doing well. And I thought that was like one of the coolest things ever, because not only did those spec projects lead to something with a brand that we wanted to work with, it allowed us to not only work with that client, but also to get a good budget and to be able to do what we wanted to do. And they loved it. The only difference was they chose the music at the end, which is totally cool. The client does what they do. But it's 100% possible that it will lead to something else. We didn't think that shooting peaches and shooting people walking through alleyways was exactly going to give us Jordan job, but it did. The other cool thing we got to do with Jordan is that we filmed with DJ Khaled and did We the Best. He had a new shoe release, which in hindsight, I should have taken a shoe instead of shooting, instead of getting paid, because the shoe now is worth way more than what they paid me on set, which is pretty insane. But it allowed me to, already have some of those things in my bank that, yeah, we've already worked with Jordan. Now we're working with DJ Khaled, We the Best, et cetera, with the Jordan shoe launch. That shoe brand helped us get another gig for Adidas that we did with Harden, that I was able to convince them to give us some Adidas shoes for the release of this shoe as well. Why? Because we had already then worked on several Jordan spots. They knew that we worked with shoe companies and et cetera. And it was really cool that just that portfolio, that little piece of portfolio of just like someone walking and, having a little bit of style and, slowly shifted to the next thing. So as you're thinking about your spec project, once again, no free advertising for nobody. It's for you. It's 100% for the filmmaker, for you, for what you're creating. 2, make sure that you're building the narrative that you want to tell through your story in your pitch. And 3, make sure that it's 100% that it's filling something in your portfolio that you're missing. All right. Hope that helps out. And once again, thank you all so much for watching. We are close to getting to 2,300 subs. We're so close to being monetized too. I think we're only like 1,000 watch hours away. Check out our stuff, share, like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. We really appreciate that you're hanging out with us and checking out everything we've done. Once again, we drop a video every single week. I hope you enjoy. All right, take care. Peace.
Yeah.